Okay, hi there and welcome back. In the previous episode, we created a container uh, based on an image. And in this video, we're going to use the same concept, but then we're going to create a container inside of Azure. So we're going to create a container registry, and then we're going to build an image, upload that image inside of the container registry, and then we're going to create a container based on that image in that registry in Azure. And that's about it. So let's get started.
Yeah, so let's see how that works. So here we have our Docker file again and our scripts, our Python shell and PowerShell script. You run the shell script from the container when it starts, and this is the content of that shell scripts. And we have a deployment PowerShell file here, very simple one, where we're going to deploy that container in Azure. Here you see some values here, some variables that are used for the deployment, but the most important part is basically here when we actually create a container instance, or a container registry, in Azure. I have a development group there of a dev resource group. It's empty. And let's see if it's still empty if we run the code. So let's start the script. This will deploy the container resource in Azure. We now go to the portal. You do a couple of refreshes sometimes. Let's see. Yeah, exactly. There we have our container registry. And currently there's no repositories inside of that. That's fine. That will be the next step of our fantastic script here. Well, let's also push the image to Azure. So here we log into the container registry. We build the image. Then we give it an image name with the latest there. We will add some build text there later, but for now it's fine. And then we do a Docker tag and a Docker push image, and that will push the image to Azure. So let's see how it works. We run the script now. It's pushing the image to Azure. We go back to the Azure portal and we check our repositories. We will see we now have a PowerShell Python repository, latest tag, as you can see. And basically now, based on that image that we have now in our registry, we can create a container based off that, right? So that will be the next step of our script here, to create a container inside of Azure. And these are all the command line arguments that you need to provide. And that's the login server that you saw in the script there. That's quite important. Let's see. We run the script. So, script done. Let's have a look in Azure. Our development group. We now have a container instance as well. If you go to the container, we check the container and we go to the logs, we will see that our fantastic bash script started, and that's correct because, as you can see, that's our script. And we add some comments, another line here, do something else as well. Let's build that again, run the whole script again. It will rebuild the image, upload it to Azure again, and create a container based on that image. So if we now go back here to containers, but you see nothing here, and that's as expected because the container by default is stopped. And we need to start it. And after container started, then also our script will be executed again, and then the container will shut down again. So, and we need to wait a little bit for that, as you can see as well there. You see there's no shell either. That doesn't work because the state is still waiting. You can see that here on the screen. If you refresh, you see nothing happens, still waiting. Logs, nothing happens, still waiting, because the container is starting. As you can see there, it's in a creation state. Let's refresh. Now it's succeeded. So if we now back to containers and logs, we will see do something else as well there in the output, and that is as expected because we changed that here in our script. So let's now do something else. Let's run the PowerShell script that we have here as well. That's also inside of the image. See that there, it's copied over on line 3. Then if we run our fantastic script here again, let's clear the screen. Let's do another deployment. Go back to Azure. Overview. We'll refresh this process we just created. And now you see, do something else as well. Still nothing happens. As expected, we need to start the container again. Of course, you can do this programmatically as well. We will do that later, but not in this video. As you can see, the container started. And if we now go to logs, we will see the output from the PowerShell script that we have here. You can see do heavy loads, sleep timer, and then I ran from a container. You see that there as well, right? So I think we have one thing left, the Python script. Let's go to the Docker files, change the executable to Python and to the Py file. This is our fantastic Py script, as you can see there. Let's run our deployment script again. Go to Azure, start the container again. Wait for that. Then we go to containers logs, and then we see our fantastic program started and completed. And that's exactly the content of our Python script. Well, that's about it, actually. So, yeah.
Yeah, so that's how it's done. Creating a container based on an image using an Azure container registry. I showed it all here. Very simple, of course, no complicated stuff, but we will get there. So stay tuned for the next video on containers. We will go a little bit more advanced. And thanks for watching. See you again. Bye-bye.